Jiggling.
Getting
jiggling. All right, here we go. Hello, zusammen, and welcome back to another Q&A session. It has been our pleasure to take your questions and to answer them. I hope by now you know what the format is. In the Patreon group, you post questions and get answers, or in some instances, we take questions out of the comment section of each video. However we're getting the questions, we're going to do our best to answer them. As ever, let me invite you to join us on the Sunday groups for Patreon because you get direct interaction with us. And if you like what we do, if you want to support what we're doing, then Patreon is the absolute best way to support us. In the meantime, I will now be quiet and hand it over to Justin.
How's it going, guys? Okay, jumping right into this. First question comes from My Real TV. Mr. TV asks, "Hi, I have a question." Oh, they always do.
Hello, we have answers.
If an SO gets a long-term residency visa approved for living in a Schengen country and resides in that country for 1.5 years, then applies for a long-term visa to live in another Schengen country, does the second Schengen country have to approve the long-term residency visa application also because the SO already holds a current long-term residency visa in the first Schengen country? That is a very long question.
Very complicated, and I think it might misunderstand some basic facts.
I hope you understood that question.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding there, so let me clarify that, and I think I can give you a pretty easy answer after that. When you come to any Schengen country, and we're going to use Germany as the example because that's where we happen to live and work, once you get a residence permit, the first one is good for 1 year. The second one is good for, I believe, 2 years, normally speaking. And then the next one is valid for 2 years, for a total of 5 years. Once you reach the 5-year mark here in Germany, which I have long since passed, you then get, you have the ability to ask for the long-term residence visa, which in German is called the Niederlassungserlaubnis. That is a permanent residency that's good for indefinite. There's no limit on it. And is also valid for every member of the EU, not just Schengen. Schengen is a travel area, but it's good for the entire EU. So now that I have been approved for my Niederlassungserlaubnis, my long-term unlimited residence permit, if I got a job in Sweden, I could pack my stuff tomorrow and go. And when I get to Sweden, the only thing I have to do is, rent a house, find a job, whatever. But there's nothing further to do. I don't have to get a new permission in Sweden because I already have that EU recognized card. So it's just that simple. Get a regular residence permit, stay in the one country for 5 years, paying taxes into the retirement fund, and after that apply for the unlimited EU-wide long-term residency card, get it, and then do what you want to do. That easy. It is that easy.
Yeah.
And the whole SO thing.
Pick a country. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I was a little confused because, if you look at the question.
Yeah, I kind of tried to get to the heart of the question.
But that seems about right, yeah. If you pick one place and live there long enough, then you can live anywhere you want. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Real TV. Okay.
Glad it was an easy one to answer.
So, okay, this next one, he's back. This one comes from Brandon. What's up, Brandon?
Yo.
He starts off, "Let's go, Brandon."
Yeah, I was going to make a joke and I let it go. Okay.
Embarrassing and uncomfortable topic to discuss, but it may help others as well.
Ooh, do tell.
German residency/work permit requirements ask for a clean criminal record from applicant's home country. You both say any record over 10 years is disregarded. So even though a record shows a criminal history, are you saying that Germany looks at it as clean? He puts it, the quotes, not me.
Yeah, you don't do air quotes. In
Pretty
progress.
much every EU country requires a clean criminal record. So please explain how that works. Well, okay, Brandon. I wouldn't say that they disregard records over 10 years. I would say they are certainly not weighted as heavily. I mean, they're still going to look at it. I mean, if you killed 20 people and somehow, maybe got off on a technicality, like you got paroled after 10 years or whatever, they're still going to look at that. It's just some certain things, aren't going to weigh as heavily on whether or not they consider you a security threat.
Correct.
So, yeah, I don't want you to think that, just because it's been 10 years, it didn't happen.
Yeah, but keep in mind also that the government here in Europe, the governments here in Europe weigh certain offenses very, 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 very differently than the Americans. So, for instance, if you have a prostitution conviction, Germany doesn't care. It's not a crime here.
Stop hooking.
It's not. Germany doesn't care. It's not a crime here. Online solicitation of a minor is not a crime here. So it's a crime here, but they weigh it so differently than America. So they're just not going to take it as seriously as you think they're going to take it. But let me say this, because we now have further evidence of how much they I don't want to say they don't care, but they weigh things differently. Yep. I made a video, which I don't think has been published yet, at least at the time this video is being filmed, where 2 weeks ago, I applied for a gun permit. They conducted 4 background checks, 4 different types of background checks on me. And after, I think it was, 10 days later, I got an email from the police to come pick up my gun permit. And I now have a valid German gun permit. It's the craziest. Never in Florida would that happen. And here's the important part. In my application for the gun permit, I actually wrote that I have a conviction in the United States because the question was on there, have you ever been convicted of a crime? And I didn't want there to be any confusion. So I said, in June of 2000, I was convicted of, escape or blah, 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 blah. And, the rest of my criminal history is a matter of record here in Germany. I got a gun permit. I don't have a gun, have no intention of getting a gun. I just wanted to see if I could get the permit. Got it.
Yeah.
Love you, Florida.
So yeah, looks as clean. No, I mean, they still see crimes there. It's just how they interpret them and how they weigh them. Because here, criminal records aren't an automatic disqualification for things like they are in the U.S. What they are is kind of a guide. Like they'll look at it to try to determine risk, sort of, because there was a ruling, I believe, that said that they can't predict your future based on your past here. But it can give them an idea as to whether or not they think you're a threat. That's all. That's what they're looking at.
And can you show that you're rehabilitated?
Yeah, that's a big thing. Yeah, I mean, show that you're not getting in trouble all the time.
Because we had a guy right now who was convicted of what I consider to be a nonviolent sex offense. And he came over here and he was initially denied for a work permit because they said he hadn't been out of prison long enough to show that he had been rehabilitated. Now, truth be told, he got out of prison and was here in Germany less than a year after being released from prison. So I totally get where the German government was coming from. But he challenged it, and by the time his challenge was finished, he'd been here in Germany more than a year. He'd already been out of prison 2.5 years, and now they're allowing him to apply for the work permit. So, yeah, it's just not an automatic disqualifier.
Right. But thank you. Thank you for the first question, Brandon.
Oh, does that mean there's a follow-up?
He has another one.
Okay.
It says, when I read about residency requirements for several European countries, when I read about residency requirements for several European countries, one of the things needed is an apostilled FBI background check. My question is, it said question. Now my question is, sorry, I'm just reading this right off the screen here. If I arrived on a 90-day tourist visa and find a job, but the FBI check takes longer than my allowed stay, how do I handle that? Will Germany or another country allow me to stay past the 90-day tourist limit waiting for needed documents? Okay, let's see. First part. They don't require an apostilled FBI background check.
Not in Germany.
Yeah,
I
in
can't
fact,
speak
Germany
for
will
them.
say they don't want anything apostilled except your birth certificate.
And even then, only, I believe, for marriage.
Yeah,
because
that's only in very limited situations.
when I applied for my citizenship, I asked them, do you need a certified copy or an apostille? And they were like, no, God,
Not
no.
from an American. If you are from like another country, certain other countries, they will want like an apostille or an approval stamp. I can't remember what it's called, from like a consulate where they look at it, like the German consulate approves it and says, yeah, this is legitimate. But no, they don't. And an FBI background check, who's going to apostille that?
Isn't it by definition?
I mean, like when you get an apostille of your birth certificate, the state does it. So who's going to apostille the FBI? The Department of Justice?
Answer is that I've not heard of that in Germany.
Yeah, so there's no apostille on that. If I arrived on a 90-day tourist visa,
That's easy to answer.
and the job's not going to require an FBI background check unless you're applying for something high security or something like, I think, some airport jobs.
Yeah, the
and
job
things.
itself is going to ask for a background
Yeah.
check in Europe.
Yeah,
They'll do that.
But the FBI check from Germany, you can get your FBI background check back in 16 days. I've done it twice.
Couple people have done it.
And I rolled my own fingerprints to do it. I mean, I didn't even go in the U.S. In the U.S., you can have it back in like 48 hours or something.
You serious?
You can go to an automatic fingerprinting place where they do it digitally, and the fingerprints are sent straight to the FBI.
Only in America.
And they will process it and email you right back.
Only in America. Land of the free, my man.
Here, the longest part is mailing the prints back to the U.S. That's what takes the longest. Because once they get it, it only takes a couple of days, and they will email you your background check. So 90 days, no way. No, it'll take you like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, tops.
But even if, let's say even if, for some reason, let's say you waited until 10 days before you're leaving, you found a job. I cannot begin to tell you how easy it is to get that visa extended.
Yep.
It's not even worth talking about.
So yeah, if you apply for your residency permit, then yes, they're going to let you stay past that 90 days. They're going to
they'll give you a green piece of papers telling the police that this person's allowed to stay.
Yeah.
Pending the application. It's easy. Oh my God.
What we tell everybody to do anyway is bring one with you.
Bring
an FBI check.
Oh.
If you're going to come, move to Europe or anywhere, get yourself an FBI check before you leave. Like right before you leave. That way it's fresh. Because if anybody asks for one, they're going to want one within the last 6 months or 8 months or 9 months or whatever. So you want to have a fresh one.
I think German law is 6 months.
Yeah, Germany it's 6 months for everything. All documents,
I think it is.
except a birth certificate, have to be no older than 6 months. In fact, actually, they might want a new copy of your birth certificate.
But nobody's, every time I presented one, nobody...
And that's only if they check. So, but that's actually a decent question, Brandon.
Yeah, that is.
Appreciate it. And maybe that will help some people with that. But yeah, don't worry about the apostille about anything.
Don't worry about the 6 month stay.
Yeah.
Or 90-day stay.
Yeah. So, okay, moving on. This one comes from Jeremiah Wilson.
Hello, Jeremiah.
How are you, Jeremiah?
That sounds
Are
like
you
a
a
character
bullfrog?
in a Western novel, doesn't it?
Jeremiah Wilson.
Jeremiah Wilson. Sharpshooter.
Says, do I need my own place or can I stay with someone in Germany?
You can stay in your living room on sofa.
I mean, yes and yes. Yes, you can have your own place, or yes, you can stay with someone. You don't have to have your own place, if that's what you mean. You just need a place to stay. I mean, if you are allowed, as I said, do I need my own place or can I stay with someone? Yeah, you can live with someone. Hopefully you know them, but you can live with someone.
But do you have to have your own place for what? For a visit?
Yeah. I'm assuming you mean to live here, or visit. Either way, yes or yes. I mean, you would need to have a place,
And
but
there are plenty of people
it doesn't
looking
have to
for
be your
roommates.
own. There's you could stay at hostels and stuff like that. You can get shared room apartments.
Yeah, but a hostel's not going to work if you're trying to apply
Oh
for
yeah,
a
yeah.
residence.
No. It's not a registrable.
If you're
residence.
staying and you want to have a residence, you have to have a permanent address.
Yeah. So even if it's a bedroom, if you rent a bedroom in a house, like a shared stay or whatever it's called, that still counts. You know, it's still a registrable address.
But I'll say again,
Which is
roommates
the
aren't
important
all
thing.
that difficult to find either.
Oh yeah, no, you can definitely find someone to be willing to help, like split rent or something. It's cheaper, it works out for everybody. I mean, in groups, sometimes in the meetings and stuff, people talk about, you know, hey, you're going when? I'm going this time too. You want to split an apartment, something like that. I mean,
Yep.
yeah, you just need a place to live.
Yep.
That's all. So, hope that answers your question, Mr. Wilson. Where are we at here? Okay, moving on. This one comes from Electric Ink. It says, question. If you have a past conviction in 2015 and now you're only on yearly
9 years
registry. Okay, yeah, you're just on the registry. That's all.
Okay, so 9-year-old conviction, you only have the registry.
Okay, you come home or you come to live there to Europe, Germany, wherever, and denounce your U.S. citizenship. What happens or situation? What kind of situation do you put yourself in if you come back to the U.S. to visit as a foreigner, a formerly a U.S. citizen? Okay, so you have a conviction. Doesn't matter when. You're a registrant. Whatever. You go somewhere, denounce your U.S. citizenship, and then try to come back to the U.S. on your new passport. So you come back as a German. Okay, I can tell you. I have an idea what's going to happen, but I'm not.
May I?
Sure.
If you renounce your
Go
citizenship,
ahead.
do not forget the fact that Germans now have to get visas to enter the United States before they go. So they're going to have to apply at the American embassy, provide your fingerprints, and they're going to know who you are.
Yeah, they're going to
before
figure
you
it
get on
out.
that plane.
There's no way you're going to get through the
They
screening.
may not give you a visa.
The trusted travel or whatever they call it for Europeans that they have to go through. Plus, I mean, when you renounce it, I'm sure the U.S. is going to keep a database. They're not just going to hit delete on this individual.
Like you never existed.
Yeah, they're still going to find out. Also, I think U.S. does biometrics for people that come into the U.S. now, like if you're non-U.S. citizens. So, like as soon as you put your fingerprint down, like you said, they're going to know who you are and that you were an American, that you do have a record.
Yep.
And then they're not going to let you in. I'm assuming.
I'm thinking they may not give you a visa, but even if they do, they're going to harass you at the airport. You
yeah.
wanted to quit in America, now you're back?
Yeah.
Why are you here?
I wouldn't try that. You would just be better off not renouncing your citizenship and going back on your American passport.
Exactly. And then the worst you have to do is re-register during your stay in the U.S.
But then you can leave again and come back to the other country that you
Come
live
back to
in.
the civilized world.
Yeah, so it would really make no sense to renounce your U.S. citizenship. There's really not much of a benefit to that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of a hassle. You know what I mean? Especially if you are in a bunch of shit. I mean, if you had a clean life and you just want to break free, I mean...
Because I should have my German
probably
citizenship
be okay.
by the end of this year. And I'm not going to go through the bother of renouncing my citizenship, especially now that I find out it costs many thousands of dollars to go through the process. Nah, hell no.
It's not...
They can just
really
keep it. I'll send the
something
passport back to them. I don't care.
You can wipe your butt with it, send it back to them with...
No, because that's my face on the passport. No.
Fresh stain
No.
right in there. Pages stuck
No.
together.
I don't hate America. I really don't care for the politics going on there. Really don't care for their sex offender laws. But I don't hate America.
Yeah. So thank you, Electric Ink. Hopefully we're able to answer that question for you. That makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much.
And so that's going to do it for this episode of the Q&A series. And we hope you're continuing to enjoy the series as much as we're enjoying making them. Please keep the questions coming. Please feel free to join us on Sundays. If you're not happy with your citizenship, okay.
Denounce
if you're not
it.
happy with your citizenship, you can renounce it. You can wipe your ass with your passport. Also, if you're not happy with your situation, do something about it. Just do something about it. It's not going to change unless you do something about it. Wow. That was a shameless plug. Until next time, my friends, be safe and be smart. Cheers.
Ciao.